The best thing about being an options trader is it allows me to homeschool my children. It's important that I teach them the right way to think about the world as early as possible. Here's a picture my son made for me during his art class. I think it's beautiful.
Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. David W. Williams, also known as the Retail Trader. Appreciate everybody for coming through. And so what we're going to discuss today is being lazy and a weak reader equals failure as a home buyer, how to buy a house this year. And I'm taking this particular perspective based on what I'm currently doing in the house market. So I'm not just kind of really giving you rhetoric or dogma. I'm not just content fishing. I'm not just trying to figure out, how I can keyword chase content because a particular keyword is hot. And so that's kind of what I'm going to talk about. So the goal of this particular video is to give you some insight that you can take away from. So when you end up in this specific situation, you have a non-conventional view of how to be successful in these markets, because a market is a market is a market is a market. And if we don't know how to operate in certain markets, it doesn't allow us to have the success that we desire, because we don't know how to operate in certain markets. And one of the reasons is because fundamentally we don't understand what a market is. So want to just say something real quick. Based on the promo video for the highest paid part-time job in the world, Options Trading Academy, also known as the highest paid online options trading academy, best option trading academy in the whole world, has helped more people in real world to really get the life that they desire as an options trader. Happy Mother's Day to everybody that is a mother. You got a mother, your grandma raised you, your aunt raised you. It really don't matter, right? Happy Mother's Day to all of them people that acted like mothers, even though those wasn't their children. Big up to y'all, because a lot of times those stories aren't told, and a lot of people don't really get the credit that they desire or that they deserve if they're doing it the right way. Because we know we love to promote the negativity, but we got a lot of women out here that's really investing in their children, investing in their family, investing in the people around them. And they're not on YouTube talking about it every 5 seconds. They really minding their business and handling their business. And they letting all these failures talk about stuff on YouTube. But we want to make sure that we give them an appreciation, because we don't have what we have without them putting the work in, right? And a lot of us are here because of the sacrifices of certain people. And we act like we're here because of us. And we really not. We really not that good. It's because other people put us in position and they let us play the front, and they played the back, and they was happy to do that. So big up to all the mothers, big up to all the people that have participated in helping other people out, even if that wasn't necessarily their direct people, because that's what they felt compelled to do. We appreciate everything that you brought to the table, and we know we would not be here without you, right? Again, we need to try to promote the positivity instead of the negativity, okay? Because we know a lot of people don't have nothing to do. You got people on live streams at 9 o'clock complaining about stuff, and they need to be at work trying to figure out how they're going to make them some money, okay? So what we're going to talk about is being lazy and a weak reader is a failure as a home buyer. So give you a heads up. This content that I'm creating is for people that actually do want to read, right? If you don't desire to read, this is not for you. If the extent of your reading is the whatever characters that you can put on Twitter without having to start a new post under the original post, this is not for you, right? If you don't like books, this is not going to be for you. If you don't like research, this is also not going to be for you. So this video is not going to show you something that you now don't have to go do on your own. Just going to give you a heads up. You can go do something else. This video is not going to show you something that you're not going to have to leave and do on your own. Right? So we're just going to give you a heads up. I wouldn't even allow you to waste your time. Okay? So I want you to understand that that's who this content is made for. I do not make content for people that do not like to read. I don't want people around me that don't like to read, because a lot of issues come up. So I'm going to try to convince you to try to read, or I'm going to talk about reading enough to where you blow up and go do something else. And you go to TikTok and they got 1 million hours worth of videos for you. Right? So I want to give you a heads up on that. So real quick, if you missed it before it goes into the membership, basic math that allowed me to become a successful trader. Want to encourage you to watch that before we put that in the membership. The reason why I want you to watch it is because I believe it can be beneficial to you, because it's going to tell you to look at yourself as opposed to looking at everybody else. So again, another thing that makes me different is we're not going to spend a lot of time talking about everybody else. We're going to spend a lot of time talking about you, right? If you know the word, God gave Adam instructions. Adam violated those instructions. God say, why you violated my instructions? He doesn't say, he can talk about what that woman did, because that's not your instructions. Your instructions wasn't to listen to her. Your instructions was to listen to me. So we have a real large segment of the population where they want to always talk about everybody else and the reason why their life look like a certain way because of everybody else. But I'm here to tell you, you need to look at why your life looks the way it looks because of you, right? So this is a really good video for you to examine yourself and understanding that if you got certain factors that are supposed to multiply to get a result, and if those factors or one of those factors is a zero, the whole thing turns into a zero. And that's what a lot of people are dealing with. But they've been convinced it's somebody else. I've never met so many people in the world that know narcissists. Well, if you really go look it up, a person diagnosed as a narcissist is a very, very small percentage of the world. But everybody on the internet has dated a narcissist, especially if they're a woman. They've all dated narcissists. It's amazing, right? How many narcissists actually exist in the world. So what I want you to do is really realize that a lot of what you're going through is a lack of introspection into your behavior and allowing other people to enable your behavior by telling you it's everybody else and never looking at you, right? So I want you to really understand that. So that video will be out of here. Give it a day or 2 days, and we're going to go put that behind the membership. And again, if you're the kind of person to where the reason why you 30 plus years old and your life look a certain way because of everybody else, okay, cool. Let's see how long that take you. So let's get into it, right? So here's what I want to talk about. Again, another disclaimer. We're going to talk about the real estate market. If you're looking to buy rural, nothing on this video is going to be for you, right? So if you're looking to buy in a rural area, so you got your metro area that you live in, that's going to be, kind of relative to what part of the country that you stay in. If you're looking to buy way out in the middle of the sticks, right? If you're looking to buy 5 hours outside of the major city that you live in, this video is not for you, right? I don't have a desire to live like that at this time in my life, so I'm more focused on the metro area around where I live. I don't have a desire to live 5 hours outside. I don't have a desire to live somewhere in the middle of nowhere. That's not what I desire this current time of my life. Some people do desire to live like that. God bless them. This video is not going to be for you. So I want you to understand is that this is who I'm making this for. Some of you, based on your socioeconomic situation, you may need to live rural. You may need to go find something in Arkansas or Mississippi or Alabama and get out of the way and build your life up that way. Living in the city is going to be too expensive for you. And the quicker you realize that, the easier your life going to go. Because the cost is going to, the economic hit that you're going to have to take to live around some of these major metro areas, you can't afford it right now. You need to build yourself up, right? So if you figure that out and you're looking at those locations, this video is not going to be for you. This is about people that's trying to buy in a central, urban, kind of more dense metro area. The Atlantas, the Houstons, the Austins, the Orlandos, the West, some of the bigger West Coast cities, that's who it's for, right? Some of y'all need to move to, I don't know where, what's the name of the city where University of Arkansas is. You need to move to that city, man, and sit down and build your life up. That's what you need to do. You need to get out of the churn a lot of these big cities because you don't have it like that to really do nothing in these cities. You just don't have it. It is not nothing to be ashamed of. You can always build yourself up and come back, but you may do so well out there, you decide you don't want to come back. So let's get into it, right? So here's what I want to talk about. Here's the first question you want to ask yourself. Why do you want to buy a home if you're looking to buy property, right? What's the reason that you want to buy a home? Okay. Can you write it down on the paper and read it back to yourself? The reason why I want to encourage you to do this is because you can figure out whether or not there's just this emotional chasing that you're looking to do. The real estate market is really based on selling you an emotion, not selling you a property. Nobody buys a property because they want a property, right? Nobody takes on a loan for $500,000 because they want to take on a $500,000 loan because they want to own a property. I'm not talking about a commercial property. I'm talking about residential. Nobody does that. There's an emotional fulfillment they're looking to get, right? So you want to really understand what that is. Write it down on a piece of paper. Pretend like it's your list of what kind of partner you want and just do a simulation and just write it down on a piece of paper. And so write down, why do you want to buy a home? Write down all the reasons and then read it back to yourself and then ask yourself, does it make sense? You may even want to give it to somebody else and ask them, does it make sense? And the reason why you want to do this is because you want to understand, are you dream chasing? Because there's a segment of the home market that's designed to sell you a dream. And then once you get into it, you realize this ain't really what I thought it was. Right? And so what I want to really encourage you to do is not be adverse to buying a house, is to know why you're buying a house. The same way if you're getting ready to buy a car, you're getting ready to go to college, any major life decision like that, write it down on a piece of paper and then read it back to yourself. Okay, so again, this is work you got to do when the video cuts off. Here's something you want to understand. So I'm talking about the Atlanta metro area, but this happens in a lot of other areas. Investors have purchased beaters and they're looking for retail to get them out. And I'm going to show you an example of that. Right? Investors have purchased beaters and they're looking for retail to get them out. So if you don't really know why you're buying a home, you can potentially get caught in the middle of this situation. And I'm going to show you what I mean. Right? And when I say a beater, I mean a home that's beat down. It may be a total remodel. Some of these homes need to be knocked over. Right? And now they're looking for retail to get them out because at the price in which they're trying to sell the home, another investor not going to get them out at that number. Right? So what they want is they want a retail person, a person looking for a residential property to come solve their problem for them. What I want to encourage you to do is not be that person, right? Look at it like a trade. Don't be that person. Okay? But if you don't know how to look at certain things a certain way, you can set yourself up to be that person. I'm going to kind of talk about what's going on in the current market that I'm at because I'm in the current market. So here's what I mean, right? Let me go to this screenshot real quick. Okay, so here's a property, right? It's on Richland Road in Atlanta, Georgia. Now look at the property. Let me make sure y'all can see that. Okay, so here's the outside of it. Let's zoom into the little screenshots. Let me make sure that's coming up on the camera. Okay, and let me go ahead and bring myself down here. Okay, so here's the property, right? That's the outside of it. This is the yard, yada, yada, yada. This is the inside of it. Okay, so this is a remodel. Look at the property. Okay, now look at it now. Okay, so look at the property, right? This is going to be a total remodel deal. Like some people may even consider knocking the whole thing down. Okay, let's go here. Right? So it was Richland Road. This is it right here. And they got it for $215. Okay. So that's what they're selling it for. $215 is over there in Oakland City. Okay. Now, people that know the metro, this is where Oakland City's at. It's supposed to be a gentrifying area. It's relatively close to downtown. So here's downtown Atlanta. Here's Oakland City. You south of West End, yada, yada, yada. Okay, cool. Now let's look at this. Because the question I'm asking is, you trying to sell me a total remodel for $215. So I got to pay $215 and I got to put whatever I got to put in the total. This house is a wreck. Okay, cool. Let's keep going. Now, this is what I'm looking at. I'm looking at what I believe they purchased the house for. So we can keep moving down because what do I know? I know a lot of homes was purchased pre-pandemic, and then as the values ran up, not a lot of people looking to get out of these properties. The problem is that they're looking to get out of these properties at a multiple that's greater than what you should expect in a real estate market. They trying to do properties like it's Tesla stock. And you shouldn't look for that type of return on a property in this short amount of time. So we see that it was sold in 16 for $25,000. In 18, they listed it for sale at $239. Then they started walking the price down, right? Then they removed it 2018. They removed the listing at $199. They put it back out for $160, right? Right? Put it back out for $160, okay? Then they got sold in 2023 for $190, okay? Then it got sold again in 2023 for $231, which I don't know why. Okay. Then they listed it for sale in 2023 later that year for $265. Right. So they bought it for $231 in less than a year. They tried to put it back on the market at $265. Then they started walking the price down and they kept walking the price down and they kept walking the price down and they kept walking. So in 2024 was $215. Now we're currently at $215. Okay. So let's walk back. This person, this is most likely an investor. They overpay for this property. And what they trying to do is figure out, what can I get retail to get me up out of this deal? Now, here's one of the challenges. If they go appraise this through a bank, do you think they'll give you this money for this property? If they go appraise this. So if you go through a traditional lender and they go appraise, they have their appraiser come in, do you think they're going to tell you that this thing is worth $215? You see what I'm saying? So what they're really looking for is they're looking for a cash buyer. But most retail people are not going to be cash buyers. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? Most retail people are not going to have 250, 300,000 cash sitting up and they can buy. And a lot of these people don't want to sell a finance. They don't want to do that. They want to get their money. They want to run. So what this person was trying to do, they was trying to land bank. Because if we notice, excuse me, we don't see during these years, we don't see a rental history. So they was trying to land bank it, right? Let's see what they bought. They was trying to land bank it. And then now they trying to get out of it at a multiple well greater than what they paid for it. But they did nothing to improve the property. This property is a wreck. Everything is a wreck. So we just seeing what's on the inside. You may get here and realize the whole roof got to get redone. That's $25,000, $30,000, right? So what I'm trying to tell you is that if all you do is just look at the price and you're so desperate to try to get a home in a particular area, or you're just so desperate to get a property, you'll not take on this problem and don't realize the problem you got. You want to deal with it. You got to get a GC for this. You can't even get like individual contractors. You can. It take you a long time. You bet off with a GC. And then you got to sit there and work your way through this property. So what we see in the Atlanta area, right? I got 250 as a top end price, right? There's whole sections of this market that have been cut out, right? So this 250. There's whole sections. All of this is cut out for 250. All of this is cut out. You go to Cobb County, you got a few properties in Smyrna, you got a few in Mableton, you got a few in Austell. All of this, though, has been cut out, right? We know East Cobb is cut out. You can't get none of East Cobb for under $450,000, $500,000, right? In East Cobb, $450,000, they showing love. Most of the time, East Cobb, this Roswell area, you're going to pay $600,000, $700,000, okay? We know all this cut out, Alpharetta cut out, so that's $250,000. Okay, so then look at what they're trying to sell you for $250,000. A lot of what's being sold for you at $250,000 is what I call beaters, where the house is in very, very bad shape, right? Here's one for $195,000. This $219,000. This house is in terrible shape. And what it was a lot of these houses was bought right before the pandemic. And what they trying to do is trying to see, can they get you to change places with them for the property? And so you have to really know why you're buying and what you're buying and what your plan is, or else you could just take anything anybody gives you and you will find out later on, this ain't the deal I want. I just spoke to my agent about a property out there in Cobb County in West Cobb, right? This property has been on the market for 318 days. And every month they drop the price. I told her it's not worth what they're selling it for right now. And they should be looking to drop the price by another. This is a $200,000 home. They trying to sell for $249,000. It's not worth $249,000. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to feel like, well, you know what? I can take advantage of the market. But the problem is in almost a year, you haven't gotten into moving because the house isn't worth that. So you have to ask yourself as a residential person, do you want to come in and take over this when you know good and well it's not worth what it's worth? So let me get this address real quick. Madrona Street. Let me go here. Let's go back to search. See, can we get any price information to come up? So it's in Grove Park. Okay. Let's show some more. Let's keep going. Okay, so let's keep going. So 17, it was sold. I'm sorry, 18, it was sold for $44,000. We talked again right before the pandemic. 2009, they put it up for sale for $169,000. So explain to me in 1 year how the value went up 286%. So this was most likely, I'll bet you, a steak dinner. This was a cash buy. Why would they believe the value went up 286% in 1 year? Right? Between 18 and 19, it went up 286%. Then they started walking the price down. Right? Then for some reason in 2020, they put it back up for 169. Then in 2021, it got listed for sale at 229, right? 249. They removed it, put it back up at 259, right? Removed it again. And now at 2025, they're trying to get 219 for it, right? So what we have, and this is in Grove Park. Let me zoom this in real quick, right? So you a little bit west of Bankhead, okay? But again, this is a beater. So somebody bought this cash money in 18, and not for some reason they think you're gonna get them out of this deal. So these are some of the things that you got to look at in whatever area that you're looking to buy. Is what's the reason why you would want to get into this area? Because a lot of times we're being sold that this is an area that's getting ready to turn around, yada, 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 this, that, and the third. But the problem is, how do we really know that? And then are you willing to sit in this area till it turns around? Right? Because you see, they didn't do nothing to this house. So I bet you a steak dinner, the roof got to get redone. Right? The roof got to get redone. And again, I don't know if you can get a mortgage from a bank for 219 for this property, because they got to go in and appraise it. Right? And they're not finna let you buy a beater with their money. Right? So we got to believe that Grove Park, right, is on the come up. We got to believe that. And one of my pet peeves about people that's trying to sell homes, take pictures of the whole house. I don't know why. How you gonna sell somebody something for $215 and you can't take 20 pictures? It's just laziness to me. But this is the property. So you see the area that you're at. You can go now on Google Maps and get a good kind of assessment of the area, right? On Google Maps, looking through it. But you see where you're at. So why do we think this thing is worth $215? But if you're just, people can be so desperate to try to get in a particular area that they overpay. Okay, so you see a lot of that. Let me show you something real quick. Let me go back here. Oh, my bad. Let me go back here. Let me get rid of this. So one thing I like about this lookup is I just look at everything that's 250 or under, right? And then you can see that whole sections of the city is cut out just because you under 250. So all of this, and I know these are gentrifying areas, Belvedere, Avadon Estates, Decatur, all of this been cut out, right? All of this. So you got certain sections that you can't even get to under 250. Okay. So what I'm telling you is that as you start to move up what you're getting ready to pay for a home, I would encourage you to have a really, really good analysis of your plan for that particular house. Okay. So let's go back to the questions. What's your plan for the property? Okay. And how many years will it take? So if you buy, let me show you a property somewhere. Let's go back to, let's go to, I'll show you an area that I think is going to turn up. Let me go over here where the old 2819 church used to be. Let me see, can I get there? Okay, right here. I think that this area is prime to turn up. So this is 250, right? This is not a bad looking property. Okay. This is 250 home over there off in the I think the Carver Hills area, right? This 250, right? Not a bad looking property. The houses south of this, right? As you start to move south here, all these houses is $500,000. So this is the last little pocket of homes that's like 180 to 200. Okay. But you got to have a plan for why you're buying here, because you're believing that these homes eventually will appreciate like these homes. But the style of home in this area right here in this section is totally different than the style of these homes. Okay. These homes in this area are this style. The other homes are more like 2-story townhouse type properties. So again, what is the plan of what you're buying? And then how many years will it take? So if you looking to buy a dream home, right, then you don't have a plan. So what's the reason why you're looking to buy a house? And then how many years you think it's going to take? Right? So if you say, hey, I'm going to be in this house 5 to 10 years, and then I'm going to get out and I'm going to go do something else because I believe this particular area is going to appreciate. Well, do you have a plan for that? Because once you get into that mortgage, you in that mortgage now, right? Once you sign that contract and sign that paperwork, now you in it. So you got to kind of ask yourself, what is your plan for the property? What area do you need to live in for this plan to come true? So if your goal is, I want to get in this particular property and I want the value to appreciate over time, what area do you need to live in? And do you know what's the area? Right? So something that's going on in the county that I live in is we got a brand new city, because in the county that I live in, a certain part of the county is sucking up all the resources and everybody knows it. So we got a city inside my county that say, you know what? We're going to form our own city and we're going to start doing our own zoning and things of that nature. And then eventually we're going to start offering our own services. I think that's a good city to live in because they on the upstart. If you try to do something in Metro Atlanta and you don't have a lot of money, it's going to be very difficult because why? It's already an established city. It's very established. The players are already been established. It takes a lot of money to move things in the city. Now, if you don't have a plan, then you just live in there. And that's the average person. The average person is just working. They go home, they watch television, they drink, they take drugs, they have sex, and that's the extent that they're going to be their life. So they just going with the flow. But if you're buying for a specific reason, you need to know what area that you're going to live in, and where do you need to live, or what area do you need to live in for the plan to come true? Sorry for the typo, right? Next question you want to ask yourself, what is the price ceiling you want to pay, including repairs, to make this come true? So sorry for the typo, right? So what is this? What's the price ceiling? Okay. So if the agent comes to you and says, we'll qualify you at a certain number, does that mean you need that whole number to get what you want? It does if you don't know what you're looking to buy. So if they say, hey, we'll qualify you at X amount, does that mean that's what the type of home you go looking for? What's your plan for what you're buying? What's the goal of it? Because a lot of people are just looking for something. They like how it look. You know what I'm saying? Or I like how it look. Or I like the amenities inside the home. Let me show you something real quick. Let me go inside this house. Let me see, can I show it? Is it in here? Okay. All of this we can get from Scratch and Dent. Do you know what Scratch and Dent is? Scratch and Dent is them appliance people, and they sell you appliances that have been scratched to dent. They sell you at a discount. This should never move you to buy a home. This little stuff right here. We can get all of this at Scratch and Dent, right? So a lot of people is buying homes for stuff that you can get cheap from a Scratch and Dent place. But you don't know about Scratch and Dent. So you impressed by the fact that you got Terminator appliances, which I still don't understand why that's such a big deal to have stainless steel. I used to work in restaurants. I don't get it, but everybody's different. So the question is, you'll be moved by this, but not be thinking about, where am I living? And do I think this home value will appreciate over time? So what I'm looking for is an area where I believe the home value will appreciate over time. I don't care, because I can put this stuff in the house. This don't mean nothing to me. Because what's fly to me is the refrigerator that looked like a cabinet. But that's in the real high-end properties. That's not in a regular home like this. That's like in them homes that cost $500,000 or better, right? That's what's fly to me. Steel stuff is not, I guess I used to work in a restaurant, so that don't move me the way it move a lot of y'all. And I can go to Scratch and Dent, I can get all of this, right? I can go to Scratch and Dent and get all of that. So the question is, do I believe the value of the home will appreciate over time based on where I'm living? Because it's not the house. You can go build a real nice house in a bad area. It's not going to change the value of your property, right? It won't. You'll just have an incongruent home in a downturn area. So why do we believe this area is going to move up? Because that's another thing they do in the city, where some people will buy a lot for $100,000 and they'll put a $500,000 property on the lot. That's their business. It doesn't mean that stuff's going to continue to raise the value of that property. It just means that you put a $500,000 home on a $100,000 lot in a bad area. If you can't get other people to follow you, it don't mean anything, right? So these are the things that you want to look at. Why do you believe that the value of this home will move up? And do you think that this home value will appreciate over time? So what I'm looking for is an area where I believe the home value will appreciate over time. I don't care, because I can put this stuff in the house. This don't mean nothing to me. Because what's fly to me is the refrigerator that looked like a cabinet. But that's in the real high-end properties. That's not in a regular home like this. That's like in them homes that cost $500,000 or better. Why? That's what fly to me. So based on the area that you're living in. And many people don't know how to evaluate the area. They just looking at the price of the home and what them people put inside the house. That don't really mean a lot. Because in the metro area, in my opinion, most of these homes is overpriced. Most of these homes should be $200,000. And they charging $350, $280, $400. These homes are extremely overpriced based on what you're going to get out of the home over the next, let's say, 10 to 20 years. But again, it's based on what your plan is. If all you finna do is go inside that house and lay back and watch Netflix and do your thing, you're not tripping on that. And you're also not looking to make a move after you buy the home. Some people looking to buy a home and they don't never want to move again. I'm not one of those people. I don't want to retire in the metro area. So I don't have a desire to stay here the rest of my life. So I'm not looking at homes like that. Right? Next thing you want to do, always factor in roof, HVAC, hot water heater, floors, and the yard. So here's another thing that people don't understand. You're buying a home for, let's look at this real quick. This home is $250. This is in the Bolton area. Okay, so look at this one for $184. Okay, so here's $184 right on Abner, right? So the question you want to ask yourself, what is the condition of the roof? Because a brand new roof can cost you $20,000. Now you may be able to get insurance to pay for it, you may not. But the question is, what is the condition of the roof? Because you know that's going to be a major replacement that you got to make. Next thing, what's the condition of the HVAC system? HVAC systems are only really designed to last you 10 years. Right? That's it. After 10 years, it's all gravy. So if you're looking to buy a home and the HVAC has already got 9 years on it, right? But you already paying a certain amount, you can anticipate in the next 2 to 3 years replacing your whole HVAC system. That's going to cost you a lot of money. Your hot water heater, what's the condition of that? Hot water heater only supposed to last you 10 years. Everything past that is gravy. Okay? Then you got to look at the floors of the house. I've been walking through houses and the floors are spongy. What I mean by spongy is that when you walk on it, the floors is going up and down, the floorboards, right? So what can happen is you may have to come through later on and start pulling all that stuff up. That's going to cost you a lot of money. But you already paying for the home because you don't really understand what you're really buying. Then you got to look at the yard. Atlanta, to me, I don't know what's going on out here. These yards are here terrible. They're just terrible. The city needs to spend money to clean up a lot of these areas, but these yards are terrible. These people don't like to rake leaves. So if you get a house and you have to either do the yard yourself or you got to pay somebody, you got to factor that in. So look at this yard right here. Let's see, can we show it? That's the yard. Do they got any backyard pictures? Let me see. So that's the backyard. So are you going to manage this yard? This yard don't look bad because they don't have a lot of trees in this house. But this is the yard. So you got to take that into account. This is the yard. You got to take that into account because either you're going to come out here and cut this and maintain this yard, or you're going to have to pay somebody to do it. And these yard people don't work cheap like that unless you're going to hire some smokers. And then you got smokers around your house. But if you hire a legit landscaping company, these people don't work cheap. So you got to pay for all of this. So think about all of this when you're looking at making your purchase, because all this factors into what you're going to be paying for at the end of the day. Is not just going to be the actual price of the property, right, at 184. And then you got to believe, let me show you something real quick. Let me move up to $600,000. Let's see, can we get an update? So you see down here, all of these is 550s in the mid fives, right? Well, up the block, these is in the 2s and the 1s. So people believe that this area is going to move up to where this area is at. But if you look at this home here, right, it's a totally different type style of house. Let's see, can we get it to come up? See this? It's a totally different style, right? So as we go farther north up Perry, the homes look totally different. They want $535 for this, right? But it was built in 2004. So it's a relatively new home. So they've gentrified this area starting in the south with these type of homes. People believe they're going to move up, but you got to believe they're going to move up. And then how long you willing to sit in it. But again, these homes down here don't look anything like these homes. They look totally different. It's a totally different style of build, right? Because these are much older homes, right? So these are the things that you got to think about. Now, if you want to stay over here, you got to believe that. Now, what's the price ceiling you want to pay, including repairs, to make this thing come true? Right? So I forgot about that. So what is the price ceiling you want to pay? What do you know about the area that you're looking to move into? So I know about this area because I studied it. I know some other things going on in this area too. I've driven through this area. I looked at all the homes here. I looked at all the homes on the other side of Marietta over here. I've looked at it. But a lot of people are being sent to an area and they don't really know the area. So they have no understanding of whether or not they believe the values of these homes are going to increase over time. Your home value could stay flat. You may get a 1% increase. You may be lucky to get 3%. But your home value could stay flat because why? Your area is really not appreciating like that. And that can happen to you. So if you kind of went in, like, well, this one for 265, right? If we come in at 265 for this 3-1, okay? So this is an older 3-1. We pay 265 for it. So you know how they did on the inside, like I say, this easy to do. They should have did this. This shutters, everything about this house screams 1965 with these type of shutters, right? But they went in and did the inside because they know that's what's going to impress people. And that's the easiest thing for them to do, right? So they did that. Give you an island because people got to get islands, right? For food, they're not going to cook, right? Give you some Terminator furniture, or appliances, okay? Got the hot water heater. That look relatively new, okay? But them shutters is throwing me. See what I'm saying? And then they charge you this, but then the question is, how does the value increase over time? Because of where you're located at, right? Not a bad looking house. Some shutters got to go though. But we got to believe that at 265, this value will keep increasing. So what I need to believe is that people are going to feel like I can't get in this area now because I'm outpriced. Let me try to move a little bit farther north into this particular area. I got to believe that for me to pay 265 for this property. Then we go look up on Zillow at 265. What did they buy it for? And what was it priced at, let's say 7, 8, 9 years ago? Because what we're seeing in the metro is people are asking for $100,000 more over what they purchased this property for, right? But they purchased the property like 4 years ago. And they're trying to get it as a residential because they know investors won't pay them that. Investors not going to pay that. What's the economic plan for the area, right? So if you're living in the area, what's the econ plan? Most people don't even know that they're supposed to have an economic development council for the area that they at. If you live in a city, your city supposed to have an economic development council. Most people don't even realize that. So if your city don't have an economic plan, I doubt the situation goes anywhere. Because why would it be a desirable city for people to live in? Right? So I'm waiting for a particular city that's just been formed in Cobb to put out their 2045 plan. I'm waiting for them to do that. It's going to get released later this year because I want to see what direction they take in the city. But the average person don't know there's an econ plan in their area. They know Trump's plan, but they don't know their plan for their own city. But they worry about what Trump doing in DC. That don't have nothing to do with your plan because that's going to directly affect you and to directly affect your property values. So if I believe that this particular area is going to appreciate, right, I need to know the plan for the area. The issue with living in a big metro like Atlanta is this is such a big metro area. Again, it's so many factors in flux because of the area. It's no telling how things gonna go inside the city of Atlanta. It's just really no telling, right? It's no telling how things gonna go inside Fulton County because the area is so big, right? Where you can move to a smaller city in the metro and you can impact what they're doing because why? It's such a smaller area. And nobody don't have to know your name. Where you try to get into the mix here, it's a lot of players in this area. They're very well established. They got a way more money than you. But these are things you got to look at. The average person don't even know there's an econ plan for their city, right? They just know somebody else's plan. Next thing, who's the administrators of the plan? So who are the people in position that's supposed to be administrating this particular plan? Okay. Next thing, what section in the area has the most influence over tax dollars? So let me show you something real quick. Let me see, can I go to it? Okay, so this is Cobb, right? This part of Cobb is where all the money's at. They control Cobb County. So if you live in If you live in under 20 in this part of Cobb, you don't have no say, because this is where the rich people is at. East Cobb. They control Cobb County because they got all the money. This is where you can't even start thinking about getting a home if you're not willing to pay $450, and really they showing love. Really gonna pay $600,000-$700,000. That's how expensive it is to live in this particular area, East Cobb. They control Cobb County because why? They got all the money. They pay the highest property taxes. They got the most influence. They got all the networks, right? So they control Cobb. So then the question is, you want to ask yourself, what section in the area that you're getting ready to live in, right, has the most influence over tax dollars? Because tax dollars are not distributed evenly. That's not how this thing works. You're constantly fighting people over how tax dollars get spent. Let me clue you into something, and this, I don't want to change the video. This stuff that you think that you're fighting over, that's not what you're fighting over. You're fighting over how tax dollars get spent. They don't want to tell you that, so they tell you, you know, you fighting over how they teach about slavery in the school system. Or you're fighting over whatever. No, you're fighting over how tax dollars get spent. That's what you're fighting over. So you'll have sections of the city where they're able to dominate how the tax dollars get spent. So what we see in Cobb is that in the East Cobb, they dominate how tax dollars are spent in Cobb County, right? You go to DeKalb County, you got a section of DeKalb, and everybody that knows what time it is and know what time it is, they dominate how things go in DeKalb County. They don't care what the face of the situation is. Behind the scenes, they dominate the whole situation. Why? Because they got the most money. So that's why you see areas of DeKalb County don't get no services. Right? Place look terrible because you got a certain section of the cab, they dominate everything, right? So they don't care who the face of nothing is. They sit behind the scenes and they go how they say it's going to go. So you need to know this stuff when you move into these areas, right? Then another thing, what areas of the city are being gentrified and what areas are you economically segregated out of? So this was going to be for people that stayed and watched the end of the video. I'm going to show you a website, and it may not cover your city, right? But again, what areas of the city are being gentrified and what areas are you being economically segregated out of? You got to get out of binary thinking of, I went through the area, I like how it look, that means it should live here. You can do that, but you're on the wrong channel. That's the channel for the real estate agents that say, hey, let me show you this particular area, and here's all the things that you can get as a consumer in this area. Go to their channel. That's what they're there for. If you driving through air, you just like how it looks, and that means you should move there, I'm telling you, in the wrong channel, you in the wrong crew. Because I don't look at stuff like that. Because to me, I don't want to just live in an area and I don't have no influence over how things go. That's the goal. The goal is to build influence. The goal ain't just to live in an area and I close my doors and I watch TV and I watch YouTube and TikTok all day and I think life is grand. That's not why I live somewhere. So if I don't believe I can do things in a certain area, I need to move to another area where I believe I can do certain things, right? Because I don't like the fact that a bunch of other people dominate how my tax dollars are spent, right? And I'm just supposed to go on the internet and complain about it to other people who also don't know what to do. So you want to kind of understand how are things moving from a geographical standpoint, an economic standpoint. Who are the power brokers? Do you know who your political rep is in your particular area? That's what I talked about, that pastor. He complained about what's going on in his church. He don't know his political rep. He think it's a big deal to know the mayor. Your mayor is not your direct representative. Your political rep is. But that sounds too much like some work. So he ain't going to do that. He just cool. He got the mayor's phone number. Okay, cool. That's cool. That's what he's impressed by. So here's a website that you can go to look at what areas are being gentrified. Now, this don't cover every city, but you can also look up a lot of income data. You can look at a lot of tax data, tax trends in your particular area. There's a lot of websites that can show you a lot of economic demographic, but here's something called the Urban Displacement Project. It shows me every area in Atlanta, right, that's being gentrified. It shows me neighborhood segregation, red line opportunity zones, where the hospitals is at, industrial sites, transit stations, where the belt line is at, all of these things, because I may want to buy in Atlanta based on where the belt line is at. See, so this is why I like in Decatur, you can go in here, you can see what areas are being gentrified. These areas right here are very, very locked out, and you'll see whole segments. You talk about these orange and light orange areas, people locked out these areas just by income. You can't get in here. So we talked about East Cobb, all of East Cobb, right, is either becoming exclusive or stable and advanced exclusive. That's what I talked about, right? Same thing with this area in here. All in here around the Vinings all the way to Brookhaven is becoming exclusive, stable, and advanced exclusive. So if you don't have a certain amount of money, it's going to be next to impossible if you even get into these particular areas, right? So you got to compete for the other areas, right? So that's something that I would encourage people to look at. You can go to this particular website. It's called the Urban Displacement Project. They may not cover your city, but you can go look up this stuff on your own. Take 3 hours on a Sunday and go look it up. You can go get information from the county, but there's a lot of website census data that can show you a lot of socioeconomic data in a particular area that you may be looking at. You can see real estate trends, you can see tax assessment trends, and you can understand what's going on in the area. It's way deeper than you just driving through and liking how the area look. That really don't amount to a lot, because they can make an area look nice and you can get over there and realize I'm isolated. I can show you nice areas in Cobb and you're not even on public sewer. You on septic tank. Now, some of y'all like septic tank, but here's the issue when you're looking at buying a home with septic tank. If they haven't maintained that septic tank, you're talking about $20,000 replacement sometime. So you got to make sure you check the condition of that septic tank, right? Because you're not, so you got whole areas of West Cobb. They're not even on public sewer. One of the benefits of living inside the city of Atlanta is you get public sewer. But you got still a lot of areas of the metro, they're not even on public sewer, right? So you got to know that before you start trying to buy the home, because you got to now maintain a septic tank, right? You got to go take what come with that. So that's why I say a lot of people, y'all trying to live, I'm going to do this off-grid stuff. That's YouTube stuff. Y'all don't want to do that in real life because it's a lot of work you got to do every day, right? And you don't have no slaves to do that work for you, so you got to do the work. So that's all we're going to talk about. We got any questions, comments, disagreements? Let me know, and then we're going to get up on out of here. Okay, so that's pen. Okay, so anybody got any questions, comments, or disagreements? We're going to read these comments real quick. So Dana, man, appreciate you coming through 1999. Appreciate it, Dana. Hope everything going well for you. So check out Dana. Dana got the YouTube channel, The Real Dana. She do a lot of content with Judge Joe Brown. She also got a secondary channel where she takes her Twitter lives. I forgot what you call it. But when she goes live on Twitter, she repurposes those back to YouTube. So like a lot of really like more in-depth conversations with a group of people, kind of like a panel. She also got that YouTube popping. So check out Dana. She does a lot of political coverage. She also kind of goes into some economic coverage. But check out her channel at The Real Dana on YouTube. Also her secondary channel. Then she might have a third channel on the low I don't know about. So appreciate it, Dana. So anybody got any questions, comments, disagreements? It's pinned in the chat if you want to come up. So tell me why I got it wrong. Corporate checks, man. Appreciate it. Coming from out of Detroit. Miss Brandy Williams, hope everything going well for you. Kai Watts, what's going on? Farida James, what's going on? OCL Sportsman, what's up with it? Jarrell, what's going on? Yeah, y'all hit the like button, please. Like button is for free. So I appreciate it. Hit the like up. So thoughts of Wildflower, you say you're going to buy property this year. God is listening and answering. Yeah, hope everything goes well for you. It's a lot of properties on the market. There's a lot. I just think that a lot of investors are looking for retail to solve their problem for them. And I think we got to be really selective about what we're looking at. A lot of guys, even in the market that I'm currently at, they're trying to sell remodels well over what their value is. And they're kind of hoping people are so desperate to get in a particular area that they're willing to buy it. But again, that's why I tell people to go in with a plan, not go in just looking to get a property. I'm going to buy a property because it's going to fit this particular goal and it's going to last a particular amount of time. and then I'm gonna go to something else unless they looking to buy a dream home, and that's a totally different conversation. I'm not looking to buy my dream home right now, so I got to come in with a plan. So PhD program says the basic math video was extremely helpful. Had one of my best trading days a day in a minute, establishing those foundational aspects. So big up to you, man. I'm glad you was able to get some value from it. Yeah, I try to make it simple, bro. You know what I'm saying? I try to keep it real simple because that's what worked for me. So I'm glad you was able to get something going for yourself, man. You can hear me?
I can.
How you doing?
Good afternoon, bro. Doing great. Good content. I'm out in the Dallas DFW area,
Okay.
and I think what you did is extremely valuable for people who are searching for a home. My wife and I, we bought a home about 3 years ago,
Okay.
and it's south of the Cowboy Stadium, Dallas Cowboy Stadium.
Okay.
Give you a general area.
So you in Irvin?
It's Arlington.
Okay, it's Arlington. My bad.
Yeah. And I want to say two things, right? A lot of people was like, "Oh, you should buy in Arlington. You can Airbnb it." And if we didn't just take 2 minutes to research the Airbnb and a short-term rental, we would have just believed other people. But there's only one district in Arlington where you can Airbnb legally.
Yeah.
So that's kind of stuff where people just talking, they don't really know what they're talking about, and it really just takes a few minutes to look that up. Another thing we looked up to is like the crime and the crime in the area, and there's so much data out there where you can look at it that aggregates all that stuff. And I'm sure everybody has their own websites, and everybody Metroplex has their own website, but you can look up the crime in your area. You can look up your economic development and the plans that's going on in your cities as well. That's something we looked at. We wanted to know what was going on, and it really. You should not depend on your real estate agent. That's my last point I wanted to make, is that too many people put too much faith in their real estate agent, and they're just leaning on those professionals, even your inspector and your appraiser. But what you did today, taking out an hour of your day, you'll be surprised how much more knowledge you'll have regarding home buying than your real estate agent, who may not even be a homeowner themselves. So there's just some things for people to think about. And I think you did a great job showing it, even though it may be boring to some people, but this is great content to me. And keep putting out this stuff, man.
All right, man. I appreciate it, man. Be easy out there, man. Take care of yourself.
Same to you.
All right, peace. Uh-oh. Okay, man. Big up to Tech Homeboy, man, out of Dallas, Texas, man. Appreciate you coming through. Mr. Stangel says, realize so out of the game is scary. I feel you. Carla J, appreciate the $1.99. Weiss, appreciate the $5. Right? So here's a question Miss Brandy asked. Were they living in it while I was doing some renovations? Miss Brandy, these houses I see out here, no, they were not. They don't look lived in at all. They look like just beaters. There's a lot of, so Miss Brandy, there was a lot of housing inventory in downtown. I'll show you what I'm talking about because it'll make more sense probably if I show it. There was a lot of housing inventory in this part of Atlanta for a very long time. And it was like a lot of abandoned homes, a lot of abandoned properties, right? This part of Atlanta, right? Especially Vine City, Bankhead, all over here, okay? And so what it allowed people to do right before values kind of really jumped up was to buy property really, really, really cheap, right? Cash, it was cash stuff because the bank not going to finance nothing. That's just essentially a beater. And it was able to buy cash with the goal of, well, now that people are starting to try to gentrify Atlanta, I could get in. West End, I've looked at some stuff. I know somebody that lives in Oakland City. Big up to them. They got in early, which was smart. But a lot of like West End properties, they're gentrifying the West End. They're gentrifying areas of Oakland City. Definitely, I think Adair Park pretty much is already being gentrified. I think they're going to gentrify Mechanicsville. Grant Park has already been gentrified, right? And then it kind of skips over to like this part of East Atlanta is not as gentrified as much. They've gentrified Kirkwood, definitely, Avondale Estates. But let me get back to this part of the city because we're getting away from it. So what they did was they bought a lot of these properties cash for like a relatively low amount of money, right? We're talking about $100,000, some even under $100,000. And then they did nothing with them because they're in such a bad part of the city. Nobody wants to live here yet. It's like just really a bad area. And so now what they're doing is hoping that there's such a desire to maybe live in Oakland City. I see a home now got put on a contract for $230. It's not a bad looking house. I just didn't like how the parking was set up. They're hoping that somebody now wants to live in Oakland City so bad that they'll pay $200,000 to $250,000 just to secure the property, and they'll go do all the remodeling that needs to be done. And me personally, I just don't like that kind of deal because there's so much work that needs to be done on the property. I'm looking at putting an extra $50,000 to $100,000 in just to make it where like it's comfortable, not even nothing luxurious, but and that's excluding what the roof needs to be done because these homes is in such bad shape. Because these are parts of the city to where again they got starved out of resources, right? A lot of people had just abandoned their properties and moved on. And so nothing was done with these properties. So they had just been sitting there for years and years. And one thing about a property is sometimes not living in it is worse than living in it, right? So what we're seeing with a lot of these properties is that nothing was done with these properties, but now they're looking to flip. And we talked about they're trying to get 200% return on what they put in the property 6 years ago. And the real estate game was never supposed to work like that from my impression. It can happen, but they're trying to do that kind of like as a standard. So no, I'm not seeing it. A lot of people trying to sell as is, no inspections. I'm not doing that because you mess around and get that house and the foundation no good. GC says, no, some people bought a home for $200K in the 90s and now that same home only $220K, all because they bought in an area at its peaks that's starting to decline. That's really important, GC. People don't talk about this type of stuff. It's real important to really know that area, to really know it, like actually look at the actual what's going on behind the scenes in that area. Because a lot of people don't realize that can happen. So that's something I'm worried about, GC. And you may not know what the Atlanta area. This is an area that I believe, let me back out. This DeKalb area. So now we out of Atlanta. So they've already gentrified Belvedere, right? They've already gentrified Avondale Estates. I believe around Glenwood is where they're going to start gentrifying more. But everything south of Glenwood, to me, is overpriced based on what I'm getting. So I can move in south of Glenwood, pay $240,000, $250,000, maybe even $300,000. And over the next 10 years, I might only get a 10% move in that house. I'm sorry, a $10,000 move in that house. And that's excluding what I put into the property, right? So they could be going here, right? Or they could go north, right? Then as we get closer to 285, the houses start to get cheap because they're around 285. But it's severely gentrified Belvedere Park, Avondale Estates, right? Severely. And East Lake, right over here, which is still considered inside Atlanta, right? North, everything north of Memorial here. This is the golf course, was real nice. Everything north of here has been very gentrified. You think they're coming south, but they may not, right? They may not come into here. So that's the thing, is that you can buy here thinking, well, they're getting ready to come south because they done got everything north, but they may never come south. It's no telling. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing. But you'll overpay just to get in there, then they don't ever come that direction. Yeah, GC, that is too, them decks. And so I'm from Florida, man. We don't do decks. So that's something else I got to take into account. I asked somebody the other day how much it costs to get them decks replaced. Because where I'm from Florida, we don't do no decks in Florida. It rained too much. That deck will rot out. You might get 10 years out that deck if you're lucky, right? So that's the thing. So you got to think about all this stuff, man. when you get in these cribs. They look a certain way, but you got to realize everything that you got to pay for to maintain it. What's up to Full of Grace and Truth? So Overpriced Homes, DR Holden built the same house I had in Lady Lake for $100,000 more down in Poinciana, $300K when I paid $205. I feel you. It'll be the same house, right? So you get, these are things you got to watch out for. So I think, Ms. Scott, I think they gave you the answer, but usually the city has the econ plan on the city website. So normally when I go to look at the econ plan, I go to the city website. Normally it's there, right? And then if it's not, I will call the city and ask them where it's at. But normally they post it. So Carla J says, look at an economic plan. What are some red flags? Well, based on the date of the economic plan, what initiatives have they hit so far? Right. So based on the date of it, when it was put out, have they hit any of the initiatives? Right. The city does have a plan because I think every city publishes it. Then the question is, how robust is it? Do you have confidence in it? Yada, yada, yada. Because who are the people in position that's supposed to get it done? So that's why, to me, it's dangerous of people living in these cities and they don't know who their reps are, but you paying them because they're getting tax money. So we should have people in position that can get the job done. If not, why are they there? But if I don't care about it, I'm apathetic to it, I get caught up in life. But the question is, they should have a plan, right? And they should have a plan on how to get to these goals. If they don't, then we probably got to look at trying to get some different people up in there, right? And that's not only on the city level, but it's also on the county level, right? Because in the metro area, we have some really well-run counties, and we also have some other counties that's not run well at all. They spend all their time fighting each other instead of running the county. So you say Norwood Hills in Birmingham is getting gentrified. A city of Birmingham, Jefferson County, Live Nation, they said they invested in it, so I knew it was serious. I feel you. So you say the amphitheater is being done, which will kickstart the next phases. I feel you. So that's good information to have because I know you know the area. Okay, so that looked like that's going to be it. Nobody else wanted to come through. So again, this for people that want to read. They want to do their research. They're not trying to watch a YouTube video and hoping the YouTube video get them all the answers. It don't work that way because you got to do things very specific to the market that you're looking at, right? And it just can take, like I say, take a Sunday and take 3 or 4 hours and just put that work in, right? And if you have questions, you can reach out to your county, your city, things of that nature about those questions. But I would never buy a house just because I like how the neighborhood look when I roll through. I would not buy it because I don't like how the neighborhood look, but me just liking how the neighborhood look is not going to be criteria to buy it, right? Because again, what GC talked about, it could be ready to decline. And then 2, I definitely would not buy no home because of the appliances that they put inside the house and the fact they put a island inside the house. People be tripping over kitchen stuff and they don't even cook like that. Because you don't need all that to cook. I know because I was raised in a household of people that cook, and we didn't have none of that. And I got home cooked meals almost every day, right? It was rare for me to go out to eat growing up. So you don't need all that to cook. But people think they do, then they get all that and still don't cook. But they'll do that stuff, and then that adds to the cost of the house. Look at that roof. Look at what them pipes. If there's any issues with the pipes, I'll walk away from it because you just got a headache, right? So those are the things I would look at, and as opposed to kind of buying into, the hype of the situation. You know what I'm saying? So everybody different. So would I invest in new builds? It depends on my plan, right? It depends on my plan. So again, what's my plan for what I'm trying to do? Then what's my price ceiling? So everything that we talked about in the video, again, how does it fit into what I'm trying to do? What is my plan? So does a new build based on my price ceiling fit into my plan? Right? So I can avoid some of those other issues, even though with a new build, you can still have issues based on who the builder is, right? But then how does that fit into my plan? So again, if we don't have a plan, then we're just kind of taking things how they go. So that means that we got to sit down and come up with a plan of the reason why we're buying and what we're trying to accomplish with this buy, right? Because are we just trying to buy because we're trying to stun on somebody else? Or are we just trying to buy because we're trying to feel like we made it in life because we can buy this big old house? I'm not trying to look at a house for any of those reasons. I don't care what y'all think about the house I buy, because why? Y'all ain't going to pay for it. So I don't care what you think. You're not going to give me $1 on the mortgage. I'm not talking about you, Miss Hammers. I'm just talking about in general. I don't care what nobody else thinks, because they're not going to give me no money to pay for it. So I got my own plan based around what I'm doing, based on my goals. But I look at, again, I look at things differently than a lot of other people. You know what I'm saying? Because I know these bills coming in my name. They'll come in nobody else's name. So I got to worry about them. Joseph Majors, brother, I would encourage you to do the research on the video. It's in the video, bro, because the video is about research. So I would encourage you to do the research on the video. All right, so we're going to get up on out of here. Y'all stay blessed. Take care of yourself.